In 1882, right in New York City, a young boy was just trying to sell his candies from a cart, and out of nowhere, some young troublemakers came along and set his cart on fire. His horse gets scared and runs off. In just a couple of seconds, he watches as his whole candy business goes up in flames. He later tried selling his candies in Philadelphia, Lancaster, Chicago, New Orleans, and finally New York. But it wasn't easy. He had a hard time everywhere he went. Tough landlords, not enough people buying his candies, you name it. And then, in New York City, things really hit rock bottom. After his cart burned down, he couldn't pay his bills, and the police took all of his equipment for making candy. He was left with just a few bucks to his name, and headed back to Lancaster almost broke. That boy, who had all these troubles, was actually Milton S. Hershey. Despite his previous failure, no one trusted him, but he didn't give up. Eventually, he built the biggest chocolate empire in America, Hershey's Chocolate. This is the story of a farmer boy, Milton S. Hershey, a name that would one day become synonymous with sweetness across the globe. A man who invented Hershey's Chocolate and built a chocolate empire worth nearly $47 billion. Now, every legend has its beginning, and Hershey started in the most unassuming of places. Let's turn the pages of history back to a small, picturesque farmhouse in rural Pennsylvania. It was here, near the sleepy town of Derry Church, on September 13, 1857, that Milton Hershey entered the world. Imagine a world far removed from the industrial hustle and bustle, a world where life was simpler, but by no means easier. Hershey was born in a Pennsylvania Dutch family, rooted deeply in Mennonite traditions. His parents, Henry and Fanny Hershey, were hardworking people, instilling in young Milton values that would shape the very core of his being: diligence, thriftiness, and an unwavering commitment to hard work. Milton's childhood was also a mosaic of experiences marked by constant movement and change. Imagine a young boy, always the new face in class, attending not one, not two, but 7 different schools as his family moved from place to place. Each school was a new adventure, a new challenge, but also a new disruption in young Hershey's life. It was a time of endless goodbyes and fleeting friendships, a time that would forge in Hershey a resilience that would later define his character. By the age of 14, the walls of the classroom could no longer contain Hershey's burgeoning spirit. There was a fire in him, a burning desire to do more, to be more. So he did what few of his age would dare. He stepped out of the traditional paths of education and plunged into the world of work. His first venture? A position at a local newspaper called Der Waffenlos Wächter, the Unarmed Watchman. The name itself was a promise of adventure, of stories awaiting to be told. But, as Hershey would soon discover, reality often has a different script. The printing business was a world of precision and discipline, a stark contrast to the free-spirited nature of young Hershey. The days were long, the work tedious, and the environment stifling. Picture a young Hershey struggling to find his place among the clattering presses and towering stacks of paper. It was a mismatch from the start, a square peg in a round hole. Tensions rose, frustrations boiled over, and in a moment of youthful defiance, Hershey's journey in the printing world came to an abrupt end, all thanks to a hat and a moment of impulse. He ended up getting the boot for throwing the owner's hat into the printing machine. In the aftermath of this misadventure, Hershey found himself at a crossroads. But, as fate would have it, his mother, a guiding light in his life, stepped in. Sensing that her son needed a direction more aligned with his creative instincts, she secured for him an apprenticeship with a local confectioner, Joseph H. Royer. And so, Hershey found himself in the enchanting world of Royer's Ice Cream Parlor and Garden, a place that was more than just a local hangout. It was a haven of creativity, a place where sugar and spice blended to create magic. In Royer's kitchen, Hershey discovered a passion he never knew he had. Under the watchful eye of Royer, he learned the art of candy making, each day unraveling secrets of sweets and treats. The kitchen became his canvas, and sugar his medium. Hershey thrived in this new environment, his natural talent for confectionery shining through. Royer, recognizing the potential in this young apprentice, soon entrusted him with greater responsibilities. Hershey was no longer just an observer, he was now a creator, crafting candies that delighted the taste buds of Lancaster's residents. But this chapter in Hershey's life was more than just a tale of an apprenticeship. It was the awakening of a latent talent, the first step in a journey that would transform the landscape of American confectionery. In the warmth of Royer's kitchen, amidst the symphony of bubbling pots and the sweet aroma of caramel, a confectioner was born. A confectioner who would go on to redefine sweetness, and in doing so, leave an indelible mark on the world. So, after spending 4 solid years mastering the art of sweet making, young Hershey thought, why not take a shot at my own candy business? Armed with the skills of his trade, some savings from his apprenticeship, and a generous $750 from his mom and aunt, he set his sights on the bustling city of Philadelphia. This is it, he must have thought, my big break. Philadelphia, with its crowded streets and endless opportunities, seemed like a perfect canvas for Hershey's entrepreneurial dreams. He found himself a 3-story building on Spring Garden Street, a place he could call his own. There, amidst the steam and stir of boiling caramel, Hershey began his venture. Day in and day out, he toiled, pouring his heart into every batch of caramel, every nut and every piece of baked goodness he crafted. He sold them for mere cents, hoping each sale would be a stepping stone to his fortune. But life, as Hershey would learn, is an unpredictable dance. Despite the sweat on his brow and the relentless support of his family, the cruel hands of fate seemed to tighten around his dream. Picture him, standing in his shop, watching the coins trickle in, far too few, far too slow. 6 years of struggle, of hope against hope, and yet the dream of a thriving business in Philadelphia slipped through his fingers like grains of sugar. Undeterred, Hershey set his sights beyond Philadelphia. Maybe fortune lies elsewhere, he must have thought. So off he went, a man on a mission to Denver, Chicago, New Orleans, and finally the grand stage of New York City. But, as if chased by a shadow, hardships followed him. In Denver, he was greeted by an economic depression, a fierce storm that made his efforts all the more challenging. In each city, he battled a new demon, landlords with hearts of stone, streets that swallowed his dreams, and, in a dramatic turn of events, troublemakers in New York who set his candy cart ablaze, a literal fire that threatened to burn his aspirations to the ground. The final blow came in New York. The law, with its cold grip, seized his candy-making equipment. Debts loomed over him like dark clouds, and there he was, a dreamer nearly crushed under the weight of his own aspirations. With the few dollars he had left, Hershey made his way back to Lancaster, a journey that felt more like a retreat than a return. But here's the thing about Milton Hershey. He was no ordinary man. Defeat was a word not found in his dictionary. Despite the skepticism of his family who looked at his past with wary eyes, Hershey was not one to give up. He donned multiple hats, a handyman here, a salesman there, scrapping together every penny he could. His goal? To gather enough to start anew. And so, with relentless perseverance, Hershey amassed enough to rent a place that once buzzed with the genius of Thomas Edison, an old electric plant. In this new chapter, Hershey found himself back at the drawing board, but not alone. His mother and aunt, ever supportive, stood by his side, wrapping candies in a place that once hummed with the current of electricity. It was a humble setup, far from the grand visions he once had, but it was a start. And in this modest beginning under the dim lights of the old electric plant, something stirred. A glimmer of hope, a hint of the sweetness that was yet to come. This part of Hershey's journey was a period of grinding, of laying the groundwork for what would become a legacy. Each wrapped candy, each sale, was a small victory, a step closer to the dream that Hershey held close to his heart. As the days turned into weeks and the weeks into months, the tides began to change. The struggles and hardships of the past slowly transformed into lessons, into stepping stones that led Hershey to the next chapter of his journey. And it was in this chapter that the world would witness the rise of a confectionery empire, an empire built on the foundations of resilience, hard work, and an unwavering belief in the sweetness of dreams. It all began on what seemed like just another day in the life of Hershey, a day that was about to change his destiny forever. Picture this. An English candy importer, Desi's, strolling through the streets, happens upon Hershey's caramels. One taste of these delightful sweets, and he knew he had stumbled upon something special. Desi's, impressed by the rich flavor, approaches Hershey with a proposal that would open doors to a market Hershey had never even considered: England. The idea was brilliant in its simplicity and potential. Hershey's caramels, perfected with a technique he picked up in Denver of using fresh milk, were the ideal for the long journey across the Atlantic. They stayed fresh for longer, a crucial factor in the days of slow transoceanic travel. Fast forward to the caramels making their grand debut in England, and it was as if Hershey had struck gold. Crystal A caramels, as they were known, became the buzz of the town overnight. Orders started pouring in, faster than Hershey and his team could wrap them up. Imagine the frenzy in the Lancaster workshop, a whirlwind of activity, as they raced against time to meet the overwhelming demand. In just 4 years since his return to Lancaster, Hershey's fortunes had taken a spectacular turn. His business was thriving, growing at a pace that was nothing short of miraculous. He expanded his operations in a big way. It wasn't just about renting more space anymore. Hershey went on to add 2 entire floors to his building and even acquired neighboring properties. His empire was expanding, reaching out to touch the skies of ambition and success. But the growth wasn't confined to Lancaster alone. Soon, Hershey was spreading his wings to major cities like New York and Chicago, setting up new plants and marking his territory in the confectionery world. His creativity knew no bounds, evident in the exotic names he chose for his caramels: lotuses, coconut ices, icelets, uniques. Each name a promise of a unique taste, a whisper of distant lands and exotic flavors. Yet, amid this rapid expansion and bustling business, Hershey remained the same hands-on leader he always was. He was often seen at the Lancaster plant, not just supervising, but actively participating in everything from shoveling cinders to rolling candies. His approachable demeanor and involvement earned him the affectionate nickname Dad Hershey among his workers. It was more than just a nickname. It was a testament to the bond he shared with his team, a bond forged in the fires of hard work and shared dreams. Hershey's business acumen was undeniable, but his heart always lay with the art of confectionery. Initially, he dabbled in using chocolate merely as a coating for his candies. But his fascination with chocolate deepened, especially after a visit to the World's Columbian Exposition in Chicago in 1892. There, in the midst of innovation and ingenuity, Hershey's eyes fell upon a piece of machinery that would redefine his future: chocolate-making machinery from Germany. This wasn't just an acquisition, it was the opening of a new chapter, a foray into a realm that Hershey was about to make his own. With this new machinery, Hershey started coating more than 100 different confections in chocolate, much to the delight and fascination of his customers. Imagine the excitement, the joy in the eyes of those who tasted these chocolate-coated wonders for the first time. Hershey once confided to his cousin, with a twinkle in his eye, "Caramels are just a passing thing. Chocolate, that's here to stay." These words weren't just a statement. They were a prophecy of what Hershey was about to achieve, a hint at the chocolate empire he was destined to build. This chapter in Hershey's life was more than just about finally finding business success. It was a tale of perseverance, of not giving up in the face of adversity. It was about recognizing opportunities and having the courage to seize them. Hershey's journey to this point had been fraught with challenges, but his unwavering spirit and belief in his dreams had finally started to pay off. The man who had once struggled to keep his business afloat was now on a path that would lead him to become a legend in the world of confectionery. But Hershey's story doesn't end here. Far from it. This was just the beginning of a journey that would see him not only conquer the world of caramels, but also revolutionize the chocolate industry. His vision, creativity, and relentless pursuit of excellence were about to usher in a new era, an era where chocolate would no longer be a luxury for the few, but a delight to be enjoyed by all. The year 1900, a time when the world stood on the brink of a new century, teeming with possibilities. In this era of change and opportunity, Hershey's fate was about to take a dramatic turn, thanks to an offer that came from the most unexpected of quarters. Enter the American Caramel Company, a behemoth in the world of confectionery, a titan standing tall as Hershey's most formidable competitor. Imagine the scene. Corporate giants, the shakers and movers of the candy world, knocking on Hershey's door with an offer that would make most businessmen's hearts skip a beat. They laid down a staggering sum of $1 million, a fortune by any standard equivalent to a whopping $24 million today. Their goal? To acquire Hershey's flourishing Crystal A Company, lock, stock, and barrel. Now, here's where Hershey's genius truly shone. In a move that would define his legacy, he struck a deal, but with a master stroke of strategy. He agreed to the sale, handing over everything from the bustling factory floors to the secret recipes and trademarks that had made Crystal A household name. But, and here lies the crux of Hershey's brilliance, he held back one crucial element: the rights to his chocolate recipes and the vital equipment needed to produce them. Soon, Hershey was again standing at the threshold of his old factory, a place teeming with memories and past endeavors, now ready to embark on a new journey. He wasn't just returning to familiar ground, he was stepping back with a vision that was bold and transformative. There, in the heart of Lancaster, he began to lay the groundwork for his new chocolate venture. Reflecting on this pivotal moment later in life, Hershey remarked, "This was the best business deal I ever made, because most of my competitors became my customers." Picture the irony. Those who once vied to outdo him were now eagerly lining up at his door, waiting to partake in his chocolate creations. But Hershey's aspirations were not meant to be confined within the walls of that small rented wing in Lancaster. He was a man whose dreams were as vast as the starry night sky. He began scouting for the perfect location to expand his empire, a place where his chocolate dreams could spread their wings and soar. His search was meticulous and far-reaching, from considering another site in Lancaster to exploring potential in Baltimore and Yonkers, New York. Yet, in the end, it was the call of home that drew Hershey in. He set his sights on a spot next to Spring Creek, near Derry Church, the very place where his life's journey had begun. This choice was more than just sentimental. It was a strategic masterpiece. The location was nestled among lush dairy farms, providing a plentiful supply of fresh milk, an essential ingredient in his chocolate recipe. Nearby, a quarry stood ready to supply the building materials needed for his grand construction. And the proximity to the bustling ports of Philadelphia and New York? That was the gateway for Hershey's chocolate to make their mark not just nationally, but globally. In January 1903, the wheels of progress began to turn. Hershey found himself in the thick of construction, a symphony of activity that marked the birth of something monumental. But Hershey wasn't just a bystander in this flurry of construction. He was deeply immersed in an endeavor equally crucial, perfecting his chocolate recipe. Picture Hershey in his laboratory, akin to a mad scientist in pursuit of a groundbreaking discovery. Milk chocolate, at that time, was a luxury, shrouded in secrecy and crafted only by the skilled hands of Swiss and German chocolatiers. But Hershey's vision was radically different. He wanted to democratize this luxury, to transform milk chocolate from an exclusive delight to a treat accessible to everyone. Night and day, Hershey and his team toiled in the lab. They experimented with every variable imaginable: powdered milk like the Swiss, fresh cream straight from the local dairy farms, sugar levels fine-tuned to perfection, the heating temperatures, cooking times, the precise sequence of adding ingredients. Every aspect was meticulously tested and retested. It was a race against time, a high-stakes game where the prize was nothing less than revolutionizing the chocolate industry. The suspense was palpable. Would the perfect recipe be realized before the factory's completion? Hershey's team worked relentless 16-hour shifts, a relentless pursuit of that elusive perfect taste. Each trial, each batch of chocolate was a step closer to Hershey's dream, a dream that was slowly but surely taking physical form as the factory neared completion. As the new factory took shape, so did Hershey's ambitions. The man who had started with a simple caramel recipe was now on the cusp of creating an empire built on the foundations of innovation, quality, and the sheer joy of chocolate. Hershey was not just making chocolate. He was crafting a legacy that would redefine the very essence of confectionery and leaving a lasting imprint on the hearts and taste buds of generations to come. And so, in the midst of this fervent quest for the perfect chocolate recipe, a turning point emerged, one that would turn the tides in Hershey's favor. This twist in the narrative came not from Hershey himself, but from an unsung hero, an unexpected catalyst by the name of John Schmalbach. John, a seasoned veteran from Hershey's Lancaster plant, decided to pay a visit to Hershey's new operation. This wasn't just any visit. It was a rendezvous with destiny. John's time at the new facility was brief, just a single day, but within those few hours, the wheels of fate began to turn. John, with a keen eye and masterful touch honed by years of experience, he began to experiment. He mixed, matched, and tweaked, delving into the alchemy of confectionery with the precision of a scientist and the creativity of an artist. And then, amidst the whirlwind of trials and tests, it happened. The breakthrough that Hershey had been tirelessly chasing. John Schmalbach, in a stroke of genius, discovered the precise blend of ingredients and techniques that would revolutionize the world of chocolate. This discovery, soon to be known as the Hershey process, was not just another recipe. It was the cornerstone upon which Hershey's chocolate empire would be built. This breakthrough set the stage for a production method that would sustain the company for decades, a testament to John's ingenuity and Hershey's vision. The Hershey process was groundbreaking in more ways than one. The chocolate it produced was unique, not just in taste, but in its longevity. Imagine a chocolate that could be stored for months on end without losing a hint of its flavor or succumbing to spoilage. But the true hallmark of this chocolate was its slightly sour note, a tangy twist that distinguished it from the smooth, creamy flavors of its Swiss counterparts. This distinct taste, far from being a flaw, became Hershey's signature. It resonated with the American palate, creating a new standard for chocolate across the nation. So profound was its impact that other chocolate makers in the US began to emulate this flavor profile, adding that distinctive sour hint to cater to the growing public demand. As Hershey's new factory neared completion, a sense of anticipation hung in the air. The grand opening in the winter of 1904 marked more than just the inauguration of a factory. It was the dawn of a new era in Hershey's journey. The factory, a marvel of industrial ingenuity, came to life, pulsing with the promise of sweet creations. This was not merely the opening of a manufacturing plant, it was the birth of a chocolate haven, a place where dreams were crafted into tangible delights. With the factory's opening, the operations in Lancaster began to wind down. It was a gradual but significant shift as the entire operation transitioned to the new location near Derry Church. Hershey's dream, once confined to the small-scale operations in Lancaster, was now expanding into a sprawling empire rooted in the rich soil of his childhood homeland. This moment was a convergence of Hershey's past and future, where the memories of his early struggles mingled with the sweet scent of success. The opening of this factory marked the beginning of a new chapter in American chocolate history. Hershey's vision, once a distant dream, was now a resounding reality. It was a place where the magic of chocolate was not just produced, but celebrated, where each bar and each bite was a piece of Hershey's enduring legacy. As Hershey's business grew and new workers came aboard, he had a grand vision to build not just a factory, but a whole town for his employees. He imagined a place right out of an American dream, a beautiful, natural setting where his workers could live healthy, happy lives in safe, comfortable homes. Hershey's experience had shown him that employees valued fair treatment, so he set out to create a community with everything they might need. Churches, stores, even a public trolley and a fire department where he himself volunteered. The homes were modern marvels for their time, with electricity, indoor plumbing, and central heating, a rarity when less than 8% of American homes had power. Each house was designed to be unique, adding charm and character to the town. Over the years, Hershey's town blossomed further with the addition of an amusement park, golf courses, and even a zoo. But Hershey's vision extended beyond just a town. His wife, Kitty, inspired him to start a school for underprivileged boys. Despite their wealth and travels, Kitty felt that they could do more with their fortune. Hershey dreamt of giving these boys a comprehensive education, one that included practical skills alongside traditional academics. He wanted to ensure each boy learned a trade, whether it be farming, electricity, carpentry, or any other skill. To realize this dream, Hershey dedicated 486 acres of land to the Hershey Trust Company, earmarked for the school. The Hershey Industrial School, later renamed the Milton Hershey School, opened its doors in 1909, welcoming its first students and many more from surrounding areas. During the tumultuous times of World War II, Hershey's role took on a new dimension, transcending the boundaries of mere chocolate production. Imagine over 1 billion chocolate bars, produced not just for delight, but for sustenance, supplied to American troops stationed in Europe and the Pacific. Hershey's didn't just send any chocolate. They created special Ration D, or tropical bars, designed to withstand the harsh, humid conditions of the Pacific Theater. Parts of the plant in Hershey, Pennsylvania, were transformed, repurposed to produce munitions, contributing to the war effort in a very tangible, impactful way. In recognition of this significant contribution, the company was awarded not 1, but 5 Army-Navy E-Production Awards, a testament to its commitment and service to the nation. Post-war, the Hershey's brand continued to evolve, expanding its repertoire far beyond the classic chocolate bars and Hershey's Kisses. Imagine a plethora of confectionery delights: Twizzlers, Icebreakers, Reese's, Almond Joy, Milk Duds, Mr. Goodbar, Bubble Yum, each a chapter in Hershey's ever-growing story. The company's evolution mirrored the changing tastes and preferences of generations, adapting and innovating to stay at the forefront of the confectionery industry. But, as with all great stories, there comes an end. On October 13, 1945, Milton S. Hershey passed away at the age of 88, leaving behind a legacy that was much larger than the empire he built. He died at the Hershey's Medical Center just a year after retiring from the board, and was laid to rest next to his parents and wife in the town that bears his name, a town that he transformed with his vision and efforts. The era following Hershey's leadership brought new challenges and opportunities for the company. The candy industry was evolving, with competitors like Mars and Nestle presenting new challenges. Despite these hurdles, Hershey's continued to thrive and adapt. In 2005, the company recorded about $4 billion in sales, testament to its enduring appeal and ability to innovate. New products catered to the changing tastes of a new century, including candies for dieters and twists on old favorites. The Hershey's Company, which began its journey in 1894, demonstrated an extraordinary ability to evolve, remaining a dominant force in the confectionery industry. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button.